You see, that's recorded.
From Marquette, and they used to be the Warriors, but now I think he's going to tell us they're the Eagles. Yeah. At least it's not Baldwin, the Golden Eagle, which is ours. Jim is going to speak for, I think he said 7 minutes or thereabouts, and the name of his speech is Confessions of a Lifelong Packer Fan. Please help me welcome Jim Kaster.
Fierce loyalty, passion, tenacity, stubborn persistence. These are the words that define a lifelong Packer fan. The ultimate experience was when I was 13. At 1 o'clock, it was 13 below. It was 1967. It was Vince's last game, and I was there. I pretended to be selling hot dogs. I went in the hot dog boy line, and once I sold one little thing of hot dogs, I thought, well, I'm watching the game. Up around the outer edge of the stadium, there were bench seats everywhere in Lambeau at the time. Lambeau was more or less a glorified high school football stadium. And behind the bench seats, there was a space of about a yard and a half, between essentially a metal fence that stood and protected you from falling outside the stadium at the top. And it was, you know, a Spartan stadium. Anyway, if you went and stood and shut up between the bench and the far fence on the outside of the upper ridge of the stadium, you could stand there, and if the cops didn't notice you, you could pretend that you were a seated patron, which I did for the last half of the game. It was so cold. Oh my God. At 13 below at game time, it was probably close to somewhere around 30 below with the wind chill. By 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, when the Packers were making their final drive, it was probably 50 below with the wind chill at least. It was freezing cold. No human being should have been playing football that day. Bob Hayes, who played for the Cowboys, was the fastest human. He ran 109.3. He stood there and literally put his hands inside of his trousers and didn't run out for a pass because he was too cold. The Packers stopped covering him. Well, everybody knows the end of the game. Jerry Kramer took credit for throwing the key block that got Bart Starr into the end zone to win the game. Actually, Kenny Bowman threw the block, to tell you the truth. If you look at the replay, Kenny Bowman went underneath, Jerry Kramer went over the top. Bowman actually took out Jethro Pugh before Kramer was even in the picture, but Kramer got the credit. Not that it matters much, but we went through after that a long dry spell, a very long dry spell. Forrest Gregg and Bart Starr was the coach. We even had Dan Devine, who traded away 3, count them, 3 first-round draft choices for John Hadle, who was a 35-year-old quarterback from the San Diego Chargers, just so he could try to save his job. He didn't save his job. He was gone the next year. We finally brought in someone decent who brought in a new quarterback after we glorified average quarterbacks by giving them the name of Magic, Don Mikowski. We brought in someone who actually could throw the ball, and he was tenacious, excitable, Brett Favre. One thing about Packer fans is we are not fair weather fans. We stick with the team through decades of bad play. Decades, believe me. I have done this. But when Brett Favre showed up and threw a touchdown pass in his first game, I thought, this kid is special. Then we watched him for 16 years as he won 42 games on last-minute drives, and that would seem to be part of his persona. And he was excitable. He threw snowballs, he jumped in the air, he tackled his own players. He was fun to watch. He also has on a crazy streak. And in a playoff game against Philadelphia several years ago, when Philadelphia was coming back and actually had, on 4th and 26, had made a first down. and gone down the field and scored a touchdown to tie. Packers got the ball back, and Brett was apparently frustrated. On the first play from scrimmage, he threw the ball straight up in the air. It was the most bizarre, irrational play I have ever seen. It was intercepted, and Philadelphia won this playoff game, which they should not have won. But hey, I forgive them for that because I'm a Packer fan. Anyway, after all of this, the last game that he played for us was like my ultimate experience as a Packer fan when I was 13. Packers played at Lambeau Field against the Giants, who would eventually win the Super Bowl. It was cold. It was too cold for human beings to be playing football outside. It was 50 below or more with the wind chill. And Brett looked like, frankly, I felt sorry for him. It was like, it is too cold to be out here playing football for a guy who's 37 years old. And he got pounded by the Giants. And threw an interception at the last drive of the game that ended up losing the game for the Packers, much like the Philadelphia game. And we thought, well, Brett, it's been a good long run. But now what do I see? This. Simply marvelous. In a Vikings uniform. And you know what's amazing to me? Is we have a football now. A football that is a Vikings football with the number 4 on it, with his career achievements listed. Like he played for the Vikings the whole time. Like, what does that have to do with the Minnesota Vikings? I don't even get it. Monday night is going to be the game of the century. I frankly have to give the Vikings the edge because Brett can still throw the ball, and they are a great team without a quarterback, and now they've got a great quarterback. I hope, sincerely hope, that in 20 years, Brett Favre does not sincerely regret coming back for these last couple of years. That he's able to walk, that he's able to function, because I think these last couple of years he's going to pay a big price for that. He probably should have stepped out at the Giants game a couple of years ago. In any case, because I am from Green Bay, and I grew up a mile from the stadium, and I went to the 1967 Ice Bowl as a 13-year-old boy, I, on Monday night, win, lose, or draw, unlike the Vikings fans, will be rooting for Green Bay. Mr. Tabletop.